Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, it's official. President Biden has signed the Alaska deal that allows Seattle cruises to go to Alaska. Hallelujah. So as we suspected, there was no way President Biden was not going to sign this bill. First of all, it would look really, really bad because there's nothing bipartisan about this. It passed 100% in the House. It passed in the Senate. Everybody's voting on it, and it's a temporary decision. It has a deadline on it. There was really no reason to not agree to this. And of course, he signed it officially yesterday, which means Alaska cruises are clear to sail. And in case you're wondering, where are all the test cruises going to happen? And they don't have to do a test cruise because in Washington, you can ask for the vaccine. And all cruise lines that have come out, Holland America, Princess, Royal Caribbean, Disney, Carnival have all said that the cruise ships that they'll be running out of Washington will require proof of vaccine. They're going for that 95% fully vaccinated, and all their crew members will be fully vaccinated. In fact, the Majestic Princess, which I'm booked on in September, had its crew members on the weekend getting vaccinated down on the West Coast. So that's all good news. And what I really like is you had President Biden signing the bill, and who was standing behind him? But we had Senators McCloskey, Sullivan, and Representative Don Young. And this is an example of how government really should work, right? Both parties, no matter what their stances are, if it's for the good of the people and the good of the country, you work together. There was, and I really want to call Senator McCloskey out on this. I've been following her campaign, if you will, on how to on starting up cruises in Alaska and getting tourism starting in Alaska. She's really been at one of the forefronts of this endeavor, and she has not slung any dirt or called anybody out or anything like that. She's just worked to get it open, and she kept pressuring and questioning the CDC. Remember the interview where she said, I don't understand why you can't give us a timeline. What's going on? And the CDC representative said, well, it's not really us. It's a whole bunch of other people included. It's a bilateral decision with a whole bunch. And she kept on saying, well, you have the no sail order. It's really you guys. And so she didn't hold back. And then they came up with the other representatives and they came up with this bill. Alaska can now breathe a sigh of relief. It's not going to be a full season, but they're salvaging something. They don't have to go a second year where 1 in 10 jobs in Alaska rely totally on tourism. So this is really good news for those businesses and places in Alaska that were really on the brink of maybe not existing anymore. So this is really fantastic news. Now that it's signed, that clears the sailings. There's no holding back now. We will definitely see cruises on the West Coast coming as early as July from all the cruise lines. And of course, one of the statements out there when the bill was being signed, when everyone was congratulating everybody and things like that, the reporter asked, well, one of the reasons they're able to get ready and sail in July is because they're requiring vaccines. What is your opinion on the state of Florida banning vaccine passports, for lack of a better term? And the White House press secretary basically said, we have no opinion on Florida's stance. And as you know, the federal government has no intention of implementing a federal database or a vaccine passport. And then she also said that, businesses are free, to require what they need, basically, to start. However, that's a kind of quick way to avoid the question of what about vaccines not being able to go and, is Florida going to be harder to do? Because it's not the cruise companies that are saying they're not going to ask for the vaccine passports. It's the state that is forbidding them from asking for the passports. So it's kind of a I don't really want to answer that question answer. So that cruising starting on the west coast out of Washington is a go. Cruising starting in Florida appears to be a go, and in Texas appears to be a go. However, say for Carnival, which has 2 ships scheduled as early as the beginning of July, we just heard from the Port Authority in Galveston, Texas, saying that right now, Carnival has no test cruises happening and no test cruises scheduled at all. And we're going into the last week of May. So they only have 5 weeks to get ready, 5-6 weeks to get ready. And if they haven't even scheduled a test cruise and they haven't scheduled for volunteers, are they going to be able to get ready in time for that beginning to be, or are they going to say, we're going to ask for vaccine passports kind of thing, proof of vaccination? And if that happens, what is the state going to say? Because they're one of the states that said, nope, you can't do that. So it's still really, really up in the air. The only cruise line that we know of officially that has submitted a request for test cruises is Royal Caribbean, and we should hear back from the CDC any second now. They're supposed to answer within 5 days, business days, which means this Friday's the deadline. That should be happening anytime soon. So while other states are really up in the air, we don't know what's happening. We're hoping it's going to go forward. We don't know what the restrictions are going to be. At least Washington and Alaska know for sure what they're doing. There doesn't seem to be an uproar from the public. I don't hear a ton of people out there saying, well, come on, I have to show that I've been vaccinated. Well, I don't hear that. I hear, yay, cruises are starting, because they know this isn't forever. This is now just to get started. And who knows, in 5 weeks down the road, on the 5th cruise of their 10-week cruise session, they may say we don't need to require that anymore because things may have progressed so well by then. And however, here's another side bit of this whole story. I just congratulated everybody in the U.S. government for working together to get this solved. And now who's under pressure? The Canadian government and the NDP government in British Columbia, where they're saying, why couldn't you have worked with Alaska and Seattle and United States and said, do the technical cruises? Why did they even have to do this? Why didn't you just agree to doing that? They're under a lot of pressure for that, because if you remember, way back in January of this year, they banned cruises till February of 2022. They didn't even want to look at cruising. They didn't even want to look at, well, how will things be in June? How will things be in July? They didn't even want to pay attention to that. They just banned it for a year without any consideration whatsoever of the ramifications. In fact, the NDP government leader is now been famously quoted for saying, yeah, well, the chances of that bill going through in the United States to bypass the Passenger Service Act is very, very rare. And now he's scrambling, saying, well, we're going to talk to Alaska now, and we're going to talk to the U.S., and we're going to work. Yeah, it's too late now. They've already worked around you. They've already told you, yeah, we don't need you now. And you better hope that next year they decide that they keep that restriction in place. Because once something's signed in it, you can always extend it and extend it and extend it. All it takes is a signed vote. And so, yeah, Canadian government and British Columbia government in particular also, you might have just messed up your tourism industry for that province and part of Canada. Not a good look. Where was the cooperation that we're supposed to be famous for here in Canada? Instead, you just ignored it because of reasons, I guess. So yeah, I'm glad to see the Canadian government is in the hot seat because their decision to ban cruising for an entire year instead of just doing it and extending it like everybody else in the world has done, yeah, really was a poor decision. Not the first one we've made. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation. And probably a vacation to Alaska.